Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Lazy Mini Painting today. I'm Laz again for your second running. It's all the reading section today. We put together the Hearthguard Warriors this morning. Full 5-man unit with the plasma blades and what looks to be some kind of bolt gun pistol thing. We did have a talk through the painting section as well, but it was lunchtime and I had a hungry little one to feed, so I finished there and came back for a second stream later today, which is the reading section. But before I start that, I've remembered I've got to go join you all in portrait mode, which I completely forgot about because I'm in Egypt. So let's go find that first of all. Then I can put that in the watch history list and can go back and find it on my phone. So it also gives people a chance to actually turn up and come in and be ready before I start actually reading what I'm supposed to be doing. Good evening, good afternoon, Buzzard. Hello, Blake. And hello, Twisted. Thank you, all three of you, for coming in. Are you supposed to be in... Are you not in work today, Blake? I thought you'd be in work. But if you've got a day off, you've got a day off. Can't complain. So let's hear about the Hearthguard. If my voice is even going to be up to it, I'm not sure. The Hearthguard are highly honoured in the kin society for their role they play as rangers. They brave the perils of the unknown as they explore the uncharted territories and frontier worlds, always looking to expand the interests of the leagues. So they're the front runners, are they? Fair enough. The desire to delve into the unknown is deeply ingrained in some kin, and many of these become Hearthguard. These intrepid explorers are the furthest travelled of their people, exploring distant stars, mysterious nebulae, and uncharted planets. Most leave their kindreds behind for decades at a time. Their calling is exciting but perilous, for the unknown places of the galaxy conceal many terrors. The greatest risk they take is not just death, but the prospect of dying far from home and their bodies never being returned to the Votan. Votan? That's weird, I got it all wrong, then. It's Votan. So yeah, they want to come back to the Votan. As well as satisfying their lust for adventure, the Hearthguard's role is of great importance to the leagues. They locate potential allies and partners for commerce, and discover natural resources that can be later exploited by their kin. Their travels may also uncover potential threats to the leagues, identifying immediate calamities such as supernovas or gravitational anomalies. They may also detect signs of drifting space hulks, roaming hive fleets, orc flotillas, or the subsurface emissions that betray the presence of a Necron tomb world. Ooh, so they really are good scouters. I mean, if they can actually figure out it's going to be a tomb world, it's damn sight a lot better than the actual Imperium do, because Imperium usually stumble upon them and wake the damn things up. So, far space. The kindred have explored far beyond their homes in the galactic core into regions they call far space. Their methods of interstellar travel are far safer and more reliable than those used by other species. The kin's spacecraft use warp drives and Geller ramparts far superior to those used by humanity, and they are navigated by Ironkin wayfinders, machine intelligences whose advanced logic cores are able to calculate relatively stable warp routes without risking exposure to demons. Even then, the kin make a series of short, controlled warp jumps that are more reliable, although significantly slower than other forms of warp travel. So they're not bouncing around like everybody else, like from here to here and making little ones, but they actually get there when, rather than jumping out 6 years later because they tried to make too much of a warp jump, got caught up in an eddy and spat out somewhere else. Okay. So we have the Hearthguard Jaegers. So the Hearthguard Jaegers travel the stars in search of the resources their societies need to thrive. Once they have located and secured valuable minerals, they are tenacious in holding them against any who would take what they see as rightfully theirs. Years of exploring and operating far from the supports of the leagues have turned the Hearthguard into hardy survivalists and formidable fighters. They live or die by the quick of their wits and the speed of their draw. You also have the Hearthguard Pioneers, which are the bike things that are in the box behind me now. The swiftest of the Hearthguard ride magna-coil bikes, which enable them to traverse great distances as they search for prospects. They are skilled scouts and explorers, so they come on foot, which is essentially your standard kind of Hearthguard warriors, and they come on bikes, which are your Hearthguard Pioneers. Now we do have a big story section here, but it is the reading part, so I will read this story section. The squat, blocky shuttle descends, steam rising up to meet it in its landing thrusters, as its landing thrusters melted the thick snow that blanketed the ground. Its access ramp lowered, and Thane Skjorn led his band of Hearthguard out into the frozen surface of the world they'd recently dubbed Windfall. Snow swirled around the assembled warriors as they made their way to the doorway of the Promethean refinery. Orbital scans had indicated that it was the only artificial structure on the planet, and Skjorn's team had been dispatched to investigate. He tried to open the access hatch, but it was sealed shut. "Here we are! Looks like we need the knock," directed Skjorn. A muscular, heavy-set kin strode forward and attached a blasting charge to the hatch. "Knock, knock," grinned Javier, pressing the detonator as he spoke the second word. An explosion ripped the door from the hatch and blasted it down the corridor. Snow cascaded down the front of the building and landed with a crump where it had been shaken from the roof above. "Shoddy human workmanship," muttered Javier. "A kin-wrought door would have stood up to that blast." Skjorn hefted his heavy shotgun in both hands and led his team inside. Those looming globes, not shattered by Javier's knock, were still shining, indicating that the refinery had power. "Keep your eyes sharp," he ordered. "Even though this place is meant to be abandoned, don't get complacent." As they made their way through the complex, they found no signs of life. However, the bullet holes and las burns that marked the passageways and the occasional dark red patch staining the deck plates betrayed evidence of a violent struggle. But there was no bodies. "We need to find out what happened here," said Skjorn. "I'm not going to mourn some dead Imperials, but whatever took them out might prove a threat to our own folk when they come to settle Windfall, and that I won't allow." As they crossed an open concourse, a shot rang out, and a solid slug ricocheted off a piece of industrial equipment, missing Orin by a hair's breadth. "Ambush!" yelled the Ironkin. "Take cover!" More shots rained down from the gantry above, and Skjorn's rangers dived behind crates and machinery. Skjorn popped his head above the makeshift barricade and returned fire. He caught a glimpse of half a dozen or so humanoid figures on the gantry. He fixed his shotgun again, and the force of its blast toppling one of the attackers from the platform. His warriors were also taking opportunistic shots at the enemy, hoping to force them back. But more troops were rushing in to reinforce their brethren. Skjorn was not an expert on humans, but their heads seemed more bulbous and their skin more purple than was normal. One of them had 3 arms, and that definitely wasn't normal. A 6-limbed creature slunk amongst them. "Gene stealers!" Skjorn spat. "These humans must be in thrall with them." The soldiers rushed Skjorn's position. Several were cut down before they reached the improvised barricade, but soon the kin found themselves in desperate close quarters combat. One of the strange humans swiped at him with a bayonet. He drew his plasma knife and barreled into his attacker, hoping to get close enough that the human wouldn't be able to bring his bayonet to bear. Skjorn thumbed the activation rune on the hilt, and the blade blazed with energy. He rammed it into his attacker's gut. Around him, the kin were holding their own against the humans, but the Gene Stealer was another matter. He watched in horror as he tore apart 2 of his band in a shower of gore. "We need to withdraw," urged Orin. "There's no profit in wasting our lives here." "Agreed," responded Skjorn. "But first we need to deal with this infestation. We can't leave this peril to threaten kin lives." "Cover me while I get to that Prometheum tank," said Javier. "If I get the charge right, that should ignite the entire pipeline. This whole place will be blown sky high." Skjorn and Orin blasted away at the oncoming soldiers as Javier went to work. But the presence of the Gene Stealer seemed to be emboldening them. The creature darted towards their position. Orin blazed away with his revolvers. The Gene Stealer leapt aside, but one shot struck its shoulder in an explosion of ichor. It screeched and then was upon them in a blur of limbs. Orin was thrown aside, a mechanical arm torn from his body. Skjorn ducked the creature's left, taking advantage of its weakened side where Orin had wounded it. He thrust his plasma knife into the beast's neck. He twisted the blade, then ripped through the Gene Stealer's throat. The creature fell on the floor, limbs flailing. Skjorn placed the barrel of his shotgun against the temple and pulled the trigger. The creature's head exploded messily. The body continued to thrash around for a moment, then lay still. The human thralls faltered in their attack and began to fall back. "The timer's set," reported Javier. "Let's get out of here." Nice little short story, actually. I didn't mind that little short story at all. Hello, Silvers. No worries if you're just dropping by. Thank you for coming in and just popping in saying hello. Nice to see you back in again, mate. I hope you're doing well in your work at the moment. It's been a while since we've seen anything, actually. So, hint, hint. If you want to put anything in so we can all oogle and gawk at your work at the moment, that'll be fine. So now that we've heard a little story about the Einhyr, let's hear about the unit that we've built up to earlier on today. So again, we get to choose our background. Pretty much a D3 roll again, so it's one or a 2. This unit of Hearthguard are the bodyguard for the Carl, and they would lay down their lives to defend him. On the roll of a 3 or a 4. The Hearthguard of this unit specialise in boarding actions, and they have honed their fighting skills battling in close quarters. Nice. You're building 15 Terminators. No. Lots and lots of Crux Terminatuses. Have fun with that, Silvers, because that is going to take you a while, mate. That is going to take you a while. I mean, just my 10 that I got proxied through Rogues Den Hobbies, they took a while, and it was very basic at that. You're still working on your 2,000 points Space Sharks. And Terminators will help you get up there quite easily. Definitely. I think a full unit of 10 Terminators, and all I had left for 500 points was a Librarian and a unit of Eliminators. That was it. Background table. If we roll a 5 or a 6, these Hearthguard all hail from the same kindred, and they share strong familial bonds that make them fight all the harder. So 2,000 points of Space Sharks. That should be interesting. But let's see what this unit is going to B is for the background. And we get a 1. So they like to defend the Carl. They are literally a bodyguard unit for the Carl. Fair enough. That will suffice for their background. And their data sheet. Let's have a look at this, because it only gives us the plasma gauntlet, but I'm pretty sure we could have took concussion gauntlets as well. But we do have the ranged weapon. Oh, it's a Volkite disintegrator. Ooh, that's interesting. Okay, so looking at this at the moment, let's zoom in a bit, shall we? So, they have a movement of 5 inches, which is about right for a heavy infantry. Toughness 6, which is right up there with Terminators. Save, again, a 2+, which is the best you can really get as a standard save. 2 wounds each. I would have liked that to have been a little bit more, but still at least not getting peppered down easily by anti-infantry fire. A leadership of 7+, and an objective control of 1. So an overall stat line is not bad for the Votann. It's actually quite hardy and stocky, actually. Yeah, that toughness 6 with save 2+ is going to be a bit of a problem to get through. They have 2 ranged weapons. They have the Exo Armor Grenade Launcher, which is mounted on the shoulder here. That has an 18-inch range, D6 attacks, hits on a 3+, strength 4, no AP and 1 damage, but it does have the blast keyword, so if you've got a unit over 5, you could possibly get about 7 shots out of it. Not bad at all. The other one, which is the pistol that they have in the hand, which is that thing, is a Volkite disintegrator. Now, special rules, it has devastating wounds. Very nice, and he's definitely punching above his weight if it needs to. 18-inch range again. 3 attacks, just flat 3 attacks, which is not bad if you've got something with devastating wound. Hitting on 3s. Strength 5, so even against small stuff, guardsmen, things like that, should do okay. No AP though, so if you're looking to punch higher through those, either the higher armor saves or the tougher vehicles or monsters, then you're relying on that devastating wounds rule. And only 1 damage each. That's not bad though, because out of a unit of 5, that's 15 shots. You're probably going to get some devastating wounds out of it. Now the Plasma Blade Gauntlet, which is that side, which is basically a gauntlet with a great big whopping knife stuck in it. Obviously his range is melee, so you have to be in engagement range. 3 attacks again. So that's still 15 attacks out of that 5-man unit. That's not too bad. Weapon skill is hitting on 3+. Strength is 6, so it's good. It's definitely good for lower toughness targets. So Eldar, Guardsman, anything with a toughness 3 or 4. It's even up to a toughness 5. It's got to be doing reasonably well against. Not a bad AP either at -2, so it'll even take themselves down to a 4+ save. Take Space Marines down to a 5. Someone's getting rid of completely. Damage 1. That's a bit of a for me. Is the damage 1. If that was a damage 2 weapon, that'd just make them so much better. That'd just make them so much nicer to hit. Oh, awesome Silvers. Thank you for posting those pictures in Discord. I shall have a look after I finish this stream. Obviously, this is a 2-part stream today, so we've taken into account the fact that I've already done the first half. This is actually the quicker half. Now we get to scenario, which is the last section. Scenario 37, Hold the Line. So Torek slapped another power cell into his disintegrator pistol and flexed the fingers of his armoured gauntlet. He surveyed his troops, who were checking their weapons. Beneath his golden helm, he smiled. They were disciplined and efficient. He was proud to fight alongside them, even if this had ended up being their last fight. The Bane are upon us, he said. They are the foulest of enemies, but not only do they destroy, but they devour all and absorb it into themselves. They would take our Votann given genes and use them to spawn new generations of horrors with which to assail our people. He saw the looks of anger and disgust on their faces. We hold the line here, he told them. And though we may give our lives, our very beings, we fight for Hearth and Hold. For Hearth and Hold, they echoed. A whine came from above, and shards of bone rained down, skittering against their makeshift defences. The assault had begun. Ooh. So, to play Hold the Line, set up your battlefield on one mat as shown in the overleaf. Then the players gather their armies. The Leagues of Votann army is 1 Carl, a unit of 3 Einhyr Hearthguards, and 2 units of 2 Hearthkin warriors with iron blasters. The Tyrannid forces consist of 4 units of 5 Termagants and 1 unit of 3 Barbgauns. Okay. So we're getting a fair old sized chunk of army here. So you set up your battle mat like this. So battle mat 1, and then the terrain going diagonally so it crosses the entire board. Then we have this square, which is the Leagues of Votann deployment zone with an objective marker behind it, and the far corner, which is the Tyrannid's deployment zone. First, the Tyrannid player sets up all their units in the deployment zone marked on the above map, and then the Leagues of Votann player does the same, so everybody's deploying everything. The game lasts for 5 battle rounds. If at the end of the Leagues of Votann player's turn, any Tyrannid model is contesting objective 1, the Tyrannid player wins. Otherwise, the Leagues of Votann player wins at the end of the 5th battle round. Tight deployment. Because of the number of Tyrannid models that are being fielded in this game, the Tyrannid player will find that they will fill their deployment zone. Do not worry, this is to be expected. Just make sure you carefully arrange the models so that they all fit next to one another. And remember who's part of which unit. That does help. You do have special abilities. So the Tyrannid Combat Patrol has a couple of special rules that are relevant to this scenario. The Teeming Broods Stratagem and the Disruption Bombardment rule. You may have used these in your games already, but below is a brief reminder of how these 2 rules work. So the Disruption Bombardment is from the Barbgauns. If they hit their target with their weapons, then you subtract 2 from the move characteristic, any advance rolls, and any charge rolls you make. So it's a minimum reducing 2 off the move characteristic. If they do choose to advance or charge, then they're losing 2 inches off each of those rolls as well. The Teeming Brood Stratagem. When you use this during your reinforcement step of your movement phase, the target is 1 unit of termagants from your army, and you can use this stratagem even if it's been destroyed. What happens? If your unit is not destroyed, return up to D6 destroyed models to it. Otherwise, add a new unit to your army identical to your destroyed unit in strategic reserves containing 2 D6 models. Slight change for it in this deployment though, because you're only using limited numbers of termagants in each squad. So in this scenario, the Tyrannid player can use the Teeming Brood Stratagem immediately after a unit of termagants is destroyed for 0 CP. Another unit of 5 termagants is then set up in the Tyrannid deployment zone. So it's a slight change to the stratagem as to when you can use it, but it's a guaranteed 5 and it doesn't cost you any CP. So you play that off all 5 rounds and see if the Tyranids can actually get to even contest objective 1, if they can. then obviously the Tyranids win. If they can't, and the Votann can screen them out and stop them from getting basically to that square, then the Votann win. Just got to do it for 5 turns, that's all. So with the Tyranid victory, obviously they consume all the biomass. They take everything that the Votann had, were, and ever will be, turn it into new mutations, and carry on to the next feed. And if the Votann survived, the last of the Tyranid beasts has been atomized. And the king give thanks to the Votann. They have won the day and slain a dangerous enemy of their people, and they get to survive to mine and pillage and plunder the planet without having to worry about little creepy buggies. All nice and good. As I've said at the end of part 1 for this, next week we'll be starting on a new combat patrol. That is the end of, because it's the end of the Votann now, and the end of the Orcs. Next week we'll be getting our first character model for the Genestealer cults, which in this case is a Magus. We will also be learning about the Genestealer cults a little bit more than we just did in that story, and the evolution of a cult. After that, the week after, we'll be getting Caliban Green and Wild Rider Red, as well as learning about heavy vehicles. So that all seems well and good. That seems absolutely fantastic. Now that we've finished the Votann especially, I can get them shipped off to where they need to be. And just to specify again, I will be, if enough, I did put a little post up on Patreon. It's a free one, so nobody has to pay to read the post. If you want to go take a look and you're interested, then obviously it pretty much tells you what you need to do. Feel free to join that if you want. If not, then, well, you don't have to. As I said, the post is free. To join the standard Patreon is free, as well as the Discord is free as well. So please feel free to join any of those. Hit the likes, hit the subscribe, notification bells, all the YouTube bells and whistles and tings and tongues, and yeah, do all that bit. Again, if you want to, I'm not going to force you. But thank you for everybody coming watching me again for the second time. Please enjoy your meals, your evening meals, whatever you're doing for the rest of the evening. And I will see you tomorrow night for the Magical World of Sparkles on Oak, where it's scenery. We're building more terrain tomorrow. Foam blocks. Anyway, that's tomorrow night. Drive safe, everyone, and I'll see you then.